So we will start reading Role of Abhyasi from Bodhayanti Parasparam Volume 2 in this book reading session. Disciplines. You know, there are 3 disciplines that are to be followed for a seeker of the ultimate. One is the discipline covering the codes of conduct that cut off all evils and other things which are detrimental in achieving the goal. The second discipline covers good practices which gather together all the forms of good which are conducive for the sadhana. The other, and perhaps the most important for advanced persons, is the discipline that benefits sentient beings so that all are saved. Food habits in day-to-day life. It is absolutely necessary that the food we take should be of the sattvic type, and there may not be any exception to this in the name of work, etc. Orientation. Study of books and hearing of the tapes help you in developing firm determination to reach the goal, and that is what we generally call as orientation. It is good that you are engaging yourself in the study of master's works. This is one of the ways of remaining in the thought of the master and develop constant remembrance. Single-pointed orientation to master and absolute goal clarity enables us to move further. As for persons coming for satsang, it depends upon their wisdom and also how they evaluate us. I have nothing to say on that. To say that you are working on them again is beyond my capacity to understand. When you are not oriented, how can any work be done? I find the problem in form of sleep embracing me whenever I start to read any of Master's books. It is a matter of common experience that persons who read Master's work get into a state similar to sleep. It is nothing but the effect of the words and thereby the thoughts of the Master being received by our real self. Do not bother, but continue to hear Master or read his books. That will clear a lot of mala, klesha and avarana. Contemplation. The question. My trainer asked me to contemplate the given condition throughout the day. I am not able to do that. The conditions endured during meditations range from total lack of thoughts to disturbance and yet absorption. It is not easy to remain in that condition consciously throughout the day while discharging our duties. If a suggestion is given at the end of the meditation that the condition is retained at the subconscious level, it will help to remember the same while we are not actively associated with any other thought or work. Yielding. We should be restless, but at the same time not expectant. Please cultivate this habit, which will help you in sadhana always. Yielding to the divine starts with a simple namaskar, but finally it ends up in total surrender, where neither the devotee nor the divine is in consciousness. We are all rishis and we are doing tapas, with a small difference that we seek only the ultimate and are not prepared to accept any penultimate goals. Yielding you are to develop in such a way that you do not mention it at all. Unless you know your smallness, yielding never arises. And when you demand a type of experience, where is submissiveness, leave alone yielding? Restlessness to achieve the goal is different from impatience that is exhibited to claim for oneself higher conditions. But this happens, and yielding to the master alone is the way, and everyone has to learn for himself. I'll take a pause here because this is a very important practical point on yielding. So, unless you know your smallness, yielding never arises. And when you demand a type of experience, where is submissiveness, leave alone yielding? So, I feel this is a very important point because many times we expect that meditation should leave us in a calm state or absorbed state. And that attitude of expectancy is a hindrance. So rather than thinking what is the condition after meditation, or rather than uh, feeling dejected or disappointed that we are not feeling a particular condition, it is better to see whether we have yielded or not. This I have heard Sir even talk in person that our meditation is actually an exercise in yielding. Uh, that is a very important point. So I'll move ahead. Thoughts that were noticed were on the goal and yielding to the master. That we have feelings of yielding means there is some resistance. Please find out the thoughts that are hindering such a submission to his will and try to avoid them. The thought of yielding is only a phase. We should move on to the stage where we do not feel the need for yielding and should have a state of mind of submissiveness. Anyone wants to add any other points to yielding? This is a prerequisite to our meditation. And this is one thing that actually, if not done properly, uh, doesn't benefit us and requires some clarity. So, okay, we'll move ahead. Due attachment. Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya, and Satya are the pillars on which the spiritual life has to be founded. There is no choice in this, so far as I know. Of course, of the 5 obstacles, namely Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, and Ahankara, Master asks us to attend to the latter 3, while only attempt moderation in Kama and Krodha. The attachments we have are to wife, sons, and property. They should become due attachment only. To the question, what is due attachment? My finding is that which is coming in the way of spiritual path is undue, and that which does not come in the way is due. There is no point in going to details. While there is need to arrive at certain basic parameters, I do not think anyone can say these are the only parameters in the sense of exclusiveness. So this is an important hint there. To the question, what is due attachment? My finding is that which is coming in the way of spiritual path is undue, and that which does not come in the way are due. A very useful practical tip to know what is undue attachment and what is due attachment. We'll move to the next clarification. Strong attachments are good so long as they are also leading us, or they also move along with us in the path. Otherwise, in the journey, there are many halts for alleged need for water or rest or shade. Where is the time left for such a rest before we reach the home? Do you know the search for water that we make is from the river Saraswati? It is invisible and according to some dried. But for us, we try to bathe in that water only. This is similar to swimming in the dreary waste. This is similar to swimming in the dreary desert. Words, perhaps, but we live in such circumstances that our thirst is quenched by only such waters.
So, Bhaiya, what is the context here? Like,
The context here is what I understand is Saraswati River. You know, right? It is. Uh, we say that it has its roots in India, but the path is not known. It flows. It used to flow somewhere from the northern part towards Gujarat.
right.
So they're still finding. So it's apparently invisible, or it has dried. That's the physical aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But here, what Sir is trying to communicate here, what I feel is, our goal may not be visible, but thirst for that goal alone is what we are looking at. So this is similar to swimming in the dreary desert,
Mm-hmm.
but our thirst will be quenched only by that river Saraswati. It's a metaphor used for our goal. Like it's only the thirst for master or our homeland is what we should wait for. You don't want to wait at intermediary places to quench your thirst. You will
Mm-hmm.
quench our thirst only when we reach the homeland. I think
Right.
that's what we're trying to communicate, right?
Okay.
Because in the previous paragraph on page 270, right, he says that otherwise in the journey there are many halts for alleged need for water or rest or shade, right? So, but if you try to look for water in river Saraswati, then you will continuously look for it, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
equated Saraswati as the homeland. So you will quench your thirst only when you find that. So alluding to that, our restlessness should be continuous.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't rest in a way.
Okay.
That is my understanding. Anybody wants to add on that point? Okay, we'll move ahead. Undue attachment to anything or any effort brings in certain amount of matter generated due to the heat of the subject concerned, and the heart feels it. Awareness of fact that we are essentially souls and our nature is that of love and our instrument for action is will helps us a long way. We should not think our efforts get anything, nor is it necessary to consciously remember the masters, which only indicate our deficiency to some extent. We have been accepted by the master, and it is our duty to serve them. We should not remember them as we do not remember our heart consciously. Matured state of surrender or prapanna dasa develops into its maturity when our orientation to master is total. Fortitude and forbearance are small rewards of that condition. You are right in understanding that the only attachment we should have always is with God or master. But that does not mean that we can ignore our responsibilities that emanate due to our being trustee of everyone under our care. Do not react sharply for everything. Think over and decide appropriate course of thought and action. Denial is the path of sannyasis and not of grihasthas. Our path is due attachment and no denial to anything that is there. Balanced living is the goal. I think these answers were given when Abhyasis had some conflict in their personal life while they are taking care of their families and others who are dependent on them. And the question of due attachment would have come. Uh, I think the answers are self-explanatory. Okay, we'll move ahead. Determination in achieving the desired result goes a long way. But please note that it is your effort assisted by the master. Without effort, feeling empty disappointment and guilt achieves nothing. As a matter of fact, guilt, repentance, etc. are qualities of the sick soul. As I was meditating this morning on the message of the Master given at the top of the diary 2001 for today, I was deeply moved by the message which assures that center itself is moving towards us. What a compassion and love of the divine. How we have all been indoctrinated that we cannot reach perfection because we are sinners, hopeless individuals, etc. What is great about any religion except telling us that we are worth nothing? How much relieved is the mind when it is assured that the center is moving, yawning towards us? How much more reassuring it is when the master says that everything is tending towards the center. We feel many times out of brainwashing that we have had in the schools of learning of all sorts that we are incapable of having a determination to seek the ultimate good because we are all men, women of flesh and weak willed persons to seek higher values in life. In another context, the Master says, you will surely come to the conclusion that you are sailing towards your own home. These two features of our system, namely our moving towards Him definitely, and that He is moving towards us steadily, should enable us to gird up our loins and start with firm steps towards our goal of life. Help from Master is essential, but to seek help from Master on matters of practice is not correct because that is our duty. We should gird up our loins ourselves, and seeking help of Master in this regard is not proper. Clarifications on determination. I feel that the task seems to be a big one, and I hope that I can do it properly throughout my life because at the age of 50 or 60 years, I do not want to have the feeling that I did not do my sadhana properly. That's a question put to Sir. I am happy to find that you are determining yourself to reach the goal, and that is half the task. You can and you will attain the desired goal within this lifetime only by following the meditational practices as advised with love and devotion to the Master. Following the commandments is a matter of time, and with the imperience you have, it will not be difficult. Question. Started feeling that miseries are not in my control and thinking of them as divine blessings. Answer. Quite a brave attempt. Master's blessings may be remembered to maintain this attitude. Question. I pray that I develop yearning to be with Him all the time. Answer. Prayer does not help much in this regard. It is our determination and girding up the loins, as Master puts, alone helps. So, one important point I see is we should not seek the help of the Master in praying for getting determination or yawning, as this question says. That is our role, Abhyasi's role. After we have put our effort, then it is acceptable to seek the help of the Master. We'll move ahead. Faith. Life is a complex game. Play it with confidence in yourself and the Master, and adopt the ways of the Master. One thing in life we should note is fear is not justified in any circumstance. We are God in expression. What fear we have got? Fear arises out of lack of confidence in God. The goal of life is happiness only, and we can get it in full measure when we are totally in tune with the Master or God. Goal clarity would develop as you practice, and exposures to pranahuti would remind you of the homeland. Do not worry too much about anger, but try to see whether your habitual reaction is necessary at all and whether alternative methods of action are not available.
I
The
think
point, yeah, go ahead. The question?
no. Just that point that the fear comes out of lack of confidence in God. I think that's kind of a very categorical statement. I think most of the times I think that's a reason why we fear about so many things.
Right. Well, that's a condition when we have developed full faith in the Master.
Yeah.
The point we should remember is that though we now and then find that our tuning to our beloved friend is not all that fine, his tuning to our situations is excellent. When things become tough, it is not time to stop, is a proverb that applies to the spiritual field more than others. I think this is hinting to people who stop their practice because of some difficult situation at home or office. But that is the time when the master's help is all the more available, and we should never stop our sadhana. More than anything else, it is the confidence in the master and ourselves that weaves our destiny. Regarding faith in the master as a precedent to practicing our system of sadhana, it is not necessary. Meditation on the divine light without luminosity, coupled with the meditation on points A and B, should give ample evidence for seekers to know the effectiveness of our system. Of course, diligence in practice is a must. Also, the assiduous practice of cleaning in the evening is very essential. For practicing yoga, there is no necessity to have faith in the master or God. As a matter of faith, as a matter of fact, faith and surrender are states of consciousness gained in sadhana. But one faith is a must. That is, faith in oneself that he or she can achieve the task. Losing confidence in oneself is almost saying, I am committing suicide. So, this is important that faith in oneself precedes faith in the master. So, we have to start with faith in ourselves, and faith in master or God develops as an outcome of our sadhana. Openness. Sense of shame is a layer in several rings of egoism. Unless we lose this sense of shame, nearness to master is an imagination. You must be knowing the stories of Duryodhana, who felt shame before his mother, who wanted to protect him completely, and also the story of the gopis who were blessed only becoming naked. Uh, the reference to Duryodhana's this thing is there, right? Like all of you must be knowing that story. I think when we have to be open completely to master. This is one thing which I feel in bedtime prayer, that sometimes we hide, we don't come out openly, but then we don't receive the full protection of master. So while he gives the example of gopis who are blessed because of their openness, Duryodhana, on the other hand, um, uh, doesn't get that full protection of his mother's glance because of lack of that openness. So that's uh, the analogy in our sadhana is like quite good there. We have to become naked in front of the master. Okay, you want to read, Raghavan?
Yeah, I can do.
Thanks.
So constant remembrance. So constant remembrance is a state and not a practice as in other systems. I have only to suggest that you try to not only attend to Abhyas in a routine way, but with love and devotion to the masters of the order. This will help you to be connected continuously and is an effective method of constant remembrance. Constant remembrance by itself will not stop formation of samskaras. The remembrance should be such that a feeling that all actions are done by him, that he is the knower of the action and also the enjoyer of all actions. It is an advanced state in spiritual life which you should be in a position to get by your present attitude of serious sadhana and restlessness to reach the goal. As a matter of fact, the body by definition will always be giving us some problem or the other, that it should not hinder us from discharging our legitimate duties should, however, be borne in mind. It is a matter of experience that persons with sufferings remember God more than others. So, clarifications on constant remembrance. If somebody hurts me or not behaves well, it stays in my heart. Even if I forgive them at the time, when a moment comes to talk about them again, I get disturbed. It is good you have learned to forgive. Learn now to forget also. Memory should always be of the master and not others. Renunciation. In nothingness, there is only total renunciation of all that is godly and his attributes. If we seek something that is sensory and what master calls amusements, I think that not being the promised goal, we are bound to be dissatisfied. The shlokas are beautiful compositions, and so are the pashurams. But they belong to other realms than reality, and so the method of revered Babuji is not likely to satisfy our curiosity. If we can accept Lord Krishna as almost substitute of the divine God, I do not find any reason why we should not be satisfied with revered Babuji. who declared himself as the special personality and through whom nature, God, works now. The initial renunciation is no renunciation at all. Further, there is a great difficulty with intellectual approach, which I have learned with enormous time and labor. It is really difficult to renounce intellect. It breeds the worst type of ego, and our march to freedom is impeded mostly by it. It does not matter whether it is pseudo intellectual or pure and simple intellectual approach. Personal renunciation first, Adi Bhautika renunciation next, Adi Daivika renunciation at a later stage are a must, as we cannot travel with all these loads in the realm of nothingness. You know better the conditions in which vacuum is possible. But unless we are prepared to shed all load or luggage, as Master calls it, the chance of entry into the realm of reality is not possible. God, as conceived by religions, is not of this type or nature. It is invariably of a lower level. It is only a difference in degree. So just a question, Bhaiya, here. So what he meant by Adi Bhautika and Adi Daivika renunciation?
I think I'm not thoroughly clear, but Adi Bhautika and Adi Daivika relates to nature, right? So uh, personal renunciation is easy to understand.
Right.
Adi Daivika is that forces of nature that are not in our control, right? That is so. I don't know. We have to contemplate what Adi Daivika renunciation means.
Right. Right. Okay.
This,
Or perhaps
anyone else can shed some light. I'm not able to.
perhaps he's yeah, perhaps he's referring to essentially forces of nature, the three kinds of suffering, right? So whatever suffering is coming from nature or stuff beyond our control, we accept meekly and we say, okay, fine. In humility, if you accept, that is possibly kind of renunciation is referring to, not ascribing it to the entity that is essentially giving you suffering, but accepting it and renouncing any reaction to it. And similarly, Adi Bhautika would be an external person, or what you perceive as an external entity to your identity, like some other person troubling you. You accept that and say, this is part of my karmic fortune, and just meekly accepting it would be the closest I could get. What is definitely.
Okay, we'll just continue then. Tolerance. So this needs to be cultivated by remembering the awareness of being nothing during meditations. Acceptance. There is no point in getting disappointed if we do not get what we want in life. We should always be in the state of mind of submissiveness to the master and accept whatever comes to us happily and not insist to have what we want. It does not mean that we should not try. We should try, and our efforts should be total. The results is the will of God, our master. Whether Lord Krishna said or our master said, it is the same thing.
I think we can stop here.
Okay.
Next session start with will.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone wants to add any points? There's a lot of practical hints given as answers to questions. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.